City of Stevens Point Historic Preservation Design Review Commission meeting, recorded October 9, 2023.
Call the Historic Design Review Commission to order, 5 o'clock, October 9th, 2023.
Siebert?
Here.
Monk?
Here.
Christensen?
Here.
Callahan?
Here.
McFarland is excused. Milewski is excused. And then Cutler.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Okay. We have item 2. We have a request from Jeff Rice, representing Rain Dog LLC, for the demolition review to raise the detached garage on the property located at 2017 Main.
Yeah, I can give it a quick
Go ahead.
summary. So last time we met, I think this was 2 weeks ago today, I believe, we had this request brought before you. There was a pretty, say, active conversation, which rightfully should be had for any demolition requests. As part of the conversation, this commission instructed city staff to basically reach out to the State Historic Preservation Office for really two things. One, for just general input, and then two, to acknowledge or ask if there would be any objections on the state side of things, given the fact that this property is located within the Main Street, Clark Street Historic District, which is located, or listed, I should say, on the National Register of Historic Places. I didn't include kind of a summary of the comments received from the state, just because there wasn't really that exhaustive, so I figured on just giving a verbal summary of that. In the context of what sort of impact, if any, it would have, the demolition of the garage would have on the district as a whole, using exact words, it was, it's not going to be a significant hit on the district should the garage be demoed, and then further that the demolition request, should it be granted, it would not trigger any delisting from, mandatory delistings from the state or feds to delist the National Register as being on the district for being on the National Register. I did go further with with the state, really asking, kind of honing it in a little bit, the impact of the demolition request onto the site itself, just since that'd be more applicable to what you all as a commission are charged to look at. Some of the comments that we got, in a way, were kind of touched last time. One being that, you know, while there's not a definitive age as to when the structure was built, it's fair to say it was built more on the later end of that spectrum that was given, about the 1920s, 1930s. There's no record, again, of there being that there used to be a carriage house on the site prior to the current garage where it's located now. So, you know, and at least in this context, you can't confirm or deny if there ever was a previous structure. And then lastly, for any listing of a district or a site on the National Register, there always has to be obviously an application and essentially a narrative form talking about why this why this boundary meets the criteria for listing on the National Register. Within that nomination paper, it didn't explicitly mention the garage as being it didn't mention the garage at all, to be frank. You know, I'm of the mindset of, if it would be of significance, it would be listed. If it's not, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not any, you know, font attributes to it, but, you know, if it was to a scale that would be deemed worthwhile, it would have been mentioned on the nomination form when it was submitted to the state and feds back in 2019. So ultimately, you know, the decision is yours. I think the conversation that we had a couple weeks ago, you know, I think that really went at the crux of any demolition request. It should be a really thoughtful, nuanced conversation. You know, with that said, I think having the state, you know, provide some reassurances, at least that lends a degree of comfortability on my part, should it be the commission's wishes to go forward with granting it. But like I said, the choice is yours. If you want to, like I mentioned last time, if you want to deny the request, All I ask is that you specifically outline the exact guidelines you feel are not met. If you do choose to grant it, the one condition I'd ask that you place on the motion is to basically obtain a raising permit prior to start of demolition. So with that, I will kick it back to the chair, and I think we can
Look for a
start the
motion.
I move
Excuse me.
to, move to accept the request from Jeff Rice for the demolition review.
With that condition that I mentioned about the raise permit, obtaining a raise permit,
Yeah,
raising
obtaining-
permit prior to
Yep.
demolition?
Yes.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further comments? I know a couple of you weren't here last time, so.
Yeah, I guess I would just reiterate my comments from the last time. I think one of the important things to keep in mind was the architectural features that the garage does have aren't even facing the street. So it's really not a major impact to the public. I'm still glad that, demolition and raising a structure is a pretty major step. I'm glad we took the extra step and got the input from the state, but I second that, and obviously I'm in favor.
Any other comments? Okay. All those in favor of Mr. Monk's motion to allow for the raising of this garage signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You do have
Opposed?
both too. Okay.
Nay?
I
Okay,
forgot to mention that.
so 4-1.
Yep.
Okay, motion pass. So the
That's
garage
it.
will be raised.
Correct.
Okay.
That is it.
That's, number 3 is adjourned.